Hey guys, Brent here with Comics, Cosplays, and Cons, and today we are looking at Krypto. Is he a good dog? Adventure Comics number 210, originally released in March of 1955. Written by Otto Binder, drawn by George Papp, the legendary Kurt Swan, and Ramona Fradon. So here is the question: is Krypto a good dog? Wait, Superman has a dog? That's right. As a matter of fact, Krypto is also starring in the new James Gunn Superman movie, right? And here we could see a few pictures of Superman. So Krypto, right? He's a Superman dog, and he's in the new movie. So let's get into this book, because this is his first appearance we're talking about. So if you're curious how to buy this comic, well, it might be more than you and I could afford at this point in our lives, but I'm believing for better things for you. But thankfully, you can find what's called a facsimile, and that's what I own. Now, a facsimile is something that it's essentially the comic that was originally put out there, but it's reprinted for modern day as well as affordability, because some of those comics, let's just be real, are very pricey, very expensive. So let's talk about great. Let's talk about Krypto and if he is a good boy. But you could also find this comic on the DC app, DC Infinite, which I do own. However, this is not a sponsorship, but DC, if you would like to sponsor me, there you go. Anyways, so once again, is Krypto a good boy? Let's find out together. On the very first page of our comic, we see the Smallville dog catcher rounding up some stray dogs, and one of them, which we'll find out later, is Krypto. Krypto goes into the truck, but can you really hold a super dog for long? I don't think so. What about you? He breaks out of the truck, and the dog catcher says it sounded like a boulder was hitting his truck. Serves him right? Trying to keep Krypto bound up. I mean, really, does anybody like dog catchers at their heart? You're like, yeah, there's probably some mean dogs out there we don't want roaming the streets, but at the same time, just like in general, it's like, man, if you love pets or dogs, you don't really probably like dog catchers. But anyways, meanwhile, Superboy, wait a minute, Superboy, that's not who this is. This is Superman. The new James Gunn movie is Superman. Well, if you'll allow me to explain, why is Krypto Superboy's dog and not Superman's? Well, you may or may not know that in the comics early on, especially this one we're talking about in 1955, Superman, before he became Superman, was also called Superboy. So it's just something that's in the comics. It's out there. You don't have to take my word for it, as LeVar Burton says on A Reading Rainbow, but go check it out for yourself. It's just a Google away. So after Superboy, Clark helps the dog catcher. They realize that one of the dogs has gotten away, but Clark's got other stuff to do, so he really can't bother with that right now. And here's another question. Would you help out a dog catcher if he's like, oh, I lost the dog? Would you be like, oh, yeah, let me help you? What if you found it? Would you adopt it? Would you keep it? Would you feed it? What would you do? So as he goes into work at his parents' store, he is in there, he's just working, minding his business, and the next thing you know, robbers come into the store, and they're like, give us your cash. Well, he's Superman / Superboy, but for purposes of this video, we'll call him Superboy. He's Superboy, but he's also his Clark, so he can't really change right now into it without exposing his identity. So he's like, I'll just wait till they make a getaway. Well, guess who walks up as they're about to make a getaway? You guessed it, Krypto the Superdog. So what happens? Well, for some needless reason, they think, oh, this is just some stray dog. Let's fire at him. It's like, what? What are you doing, people? I digress. So here we go. But they're like, man, we're missing. They're firing at Krypto, but they're missing. And it's like, what is going on here? Well, Superboy can see Clark. He can tell that they're missing. Obviously, he's got super speed, super hearing, super everything, right? So he could tell that they're not missing, but it's ricocheting off of the dog, and it's like, what in the world? Well, after this whole scenario plays out, Clark follows the dog, only to find it chewing on a gun, chewing it down. And it's like, like it's nothing, like it's a toy or whatever. So it's like, what is going on with this dog? He seems to be super like Clark. So he goes ahead and he's like, all right, let me follow this dog and see what's up. As he's chasing this dog, the dog, of course, starts running, doesn't really know him. But then he's like, well, at least dogs can't fly, right? Wrong. That's what you thought. But this dog is not just any ordinary dog. He's Krypto, a super dog. But at this point in the comic, Superboy doesn't know that. All right, so he's chasing him down, and he's like, he's not going to fly. But guess what? He flies. But then something odd happens as they're in the air. And the dog starts, like, playing with Superboy, like, licking him and, super licking, I think is the term he uses. He's like, don't do that. So what's going on? Why is this dog that Clark just found seeming like he knows Clark? That's really weird. So Clark wants to test it out. As he's flying around, he looks into the ground and sees a bone. He's like, let's see if this dog can see that as well. Well, the dog buries in, gets the bone, comes out. Voila. Well, all of a sudden then the dog, as far as dog smarts go, if you're a super dog, you're probably got a little more intellect than the normal or regular dog, right? Some of us are probably hoping our dogs had a better intellect than what they do. So anyways, he goes somewhere else. And of course, Superboy follows him and he's like, where is he taking me? Well, it turns out it's the rocket ship that the dog Krypto appeared in. And there's a letter. There's something written in there in Superboy's language and from his home planet. So he reads it and he discovers that his father was the one that wrote this. And he also discovers that they were sending out animals in Krypton before they decided to send out people as a way of, saving the planet, if you know the mythology at all. If you don't, check it out. Very cool. So here it is. So he's reading this, and then he realizes, like, oh, this is my dad, Krypto. This was my dog when I was younger. They had to send him off on a rocket, and lo and behold, they are reunited. And of course, Superboy cries. And I think we can relate to that if any of us have lost the dog or like have a dog and he's ran away and then they found him or we didn't. It's like we can totally relate being reunited with our pets, right? That is just such a great feeling. And so he's crying, I believe, with tears of joy at the reunion of him and Krypto. And they're both happy, and so they're flying around. Superboy's thinking, man, this is awesome. I finally got my dog. Other boys have dogs, and now I have one too. And other kids have dogs. I have one too. But wouldn't you know, next thing, Krypto starts chasing a plane, right? Like, it'd be like if one of our dogs were chasing a squirrel or a rabbit or something of that nature. And it's like, oh no. And what happens? He bites off part of the wing of the plane. And so this begs the question, is Krypto a good boy? Like, what is going on? I mean, of course, dogs can play around, but when your dog can bite off the wing of an airplane, I mean, that's pretty serious. But Superboy kind of chalks it up that he's just being playful, but he's a super dog. So here's a question for you. What has your dog ever chewed or bitten that you wish he really hadn't? Like, has he chewed something up, or has he, maybe devoured a carpet and you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like in this case. However, the stakes with Superboy are a little bit higher because this is a super pup, a super dog. So what happens to the plane? What happens to Krypto? Does Superboy banish him? Does he get mad? Does he get angry? What's going on? Here's his reunited long lost dog, and they're both so happy. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this plane, the people, what's going on? Well, you're going to have to check out next time on Comics, Cosplays, and Cons, because I'm doing a three-part episode about Krypto. So you'll have to come back next time. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because next time we'll find out what happened to that plane. What's going to happen to Krypto? Should he have stayed with the dog catcher, or should he not? I mean, obviously he couldn't, but what's going on? So be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought of this video. Tell me what you think of Krypto in general. Tell me what you thought of Krypto in the new James Gunn movie, if you have seen that. If not, I recommend it. All right, thank you all for listening, and come back next time to find out, is Krypto a good dog? Have a great day.